Hello and welcome to Admit One, your movie and TV podcast, right here on Rabbit Hole Media. I am one of your hosts, Jack Nedley Thompson, and as always and as usual, I am joined by one Kristian Lasham.
The camera is still slightly off center.
Who cares?
I do. I get really, really finicky on straightness. And that's going to get taken out of context on the internet later on, isn't it?
That would require viewership.
Oh, yes, good point.
So
Good
we're
point.
safe.
We could do it to ourselves.
We could. That requires effort.
Ah, yes. The two things we don't have.
Viewers and
Maybe
effort.
they're linked.
Maybe, but I don't know. It's hard. I don't want to be one of those people who's just clips on TikTok and what have you. But here we are. That's the only way to succeed in this bullshit, woke nonsense world. But here we are. Hi. I was going to say everyone, but I suppose hi one.
Whoever you may are.
Whoever you may are.
Kumbaya, my lord. Kumbaya. Hannah says, how embarrassing when you turn up somewhere and the other person is in the same outfit. Now, I would argue these are different shirts.
I would also argue it, but we did point it out when I first got
Yes.
here. It was there. Not embarrassing at all. It was there.
Yeah, we like that kind of stuff here. It's what reminds us that we have kinship.
Exactly. We think alike.
Yeah.
What was it the other day where we were just like, we spend too much time together?
Most times we have conversations.
Oh, it was when we simultaneously said vagine.
Oh, yeah. There was some context to it. I can't remember what it was.
Oh, the difference in the context of the video game Avengers, the only difference between the Mighty Thor and Thor was one had a peen and the other had a vagine.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You had to be there. You had to be there.
Indeed. Well, we are here to talk about The Umbrella Academy, Season 3, that aired 4 years ago. So we'll do our best. What are your general thoughts on Umbrella Academy Season 3?
Have we done a show talking about the Umbrella Academy on air before?
No.
Because I know we haven't done like an Admit 1 episode.
We might have mentioned things and bits and
Yeah,
bobs,
I just feel like it's come up in conversation in the past.
I imagine it has.
Oh, maybe on one of the end of year shows.
Oh, yeah, probably. Yeah. That would probably be the most relevant time.
Yeah, fair enough.
Not that it has to be relevant on this channel.
No, of course. So, Umbrella Academy Season 3. Now, you see, I want to say it's a bit weird, but that's kind of Charlie's thing. And also the show is just... Umbrella Academy as a show is strange.
A bit weird, yeah.
It's very strange and unusual in its presentation and its style and its themes. Everything about it is just a little bit bizarre. I remember when Season 1 aired, Camilla was like, oh, I've heard about this. Oh, I think it was you that recommended it. Sorry, you'd recommended it. So Camilla was like, oh, we'll give it a watch. We're like, first watched the first episode. We're like, that was a bit odd. Kind of want to watch another one and see what's going on. And I remember getting really into the first season and really, really liking it.
I think the first season is really good.
Yeah. And I remember, I think I was about 3 episodes in of going, this is a little bit weird. And then spotted that it was written by Gerard Way. And then went, oh, that all makes sense now. And suddenly it's now less weird. Like, when you put the context of who's written it with it, it was like, suddenly this show is less bizarre now I know it's written by Gerard Way. It makes more sense. I remember thoroughly enjoying Season 1. I remember somewhat enjoying Season 2. Season 3 was fine, I think.
I agree with fine.
I don't think it was particularly bad. I think it slowly lost its charm as each season has gone on, both in the sense of kind of like the weirdness has now gotten a bit like, okay, right, it doesn't feel like it's evolving anywhere.
No.
You know, the 3 seasons seems to have been, for as far as I can tell, over the time period of around 20 days, I think, isn't it?
Something like that.
Obviously, we jump between different time periods because of all the weird time travel stuff and whatnot, and all the paradox stuff. But it's over the course of like...
It's like 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Around 3-4 weeks.
5 talks about it a lot in this series.
Yeah.
It's like, I've been trying to do this for however many days. I can't remember what he says. I think he says 28 days, but I may be wrong. So obviously, we've had that over the course of 3 or 4 years.
4 years, I think.
So it feels dragged out with not much escalation, and it seems like kind of like, I know the kind of idea is as soon as the first problem gets solved, there's a second one to fix, but it feels like it's all kind of part of the same problem, but not really. But yet, even though it's clearly all linked, but the first stuff isn't being spoken about anymore. It just feels like it's not building to anything or getting any bigger or any more interesting. And I think it's starting to focus on, how can we just make something else happen, as opposed to, do we have an interesting story to tell?
Yeah, I kind of feel like they started off where the stakes were 10.
Yeah.
And they've just stayed 10,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
therefore they don't feel particularly high anymore. And it's not evolving because nothing gets solved. It just immediately causes another problem, and the problems are usually the same.
the same.
And they all end the same way.
Yeah, every season has been, the world's going to end and we need to stop it from ending. And then it ends with a bit of a cliffhanger of like, did they save the world?
No.
And then it starts, it's like, they did, but now there's a different problem that's going to destroy the world that they've caused by saving the world. Right, okay, and every season's been the same. And this ends even in a way of like, well, they saved the world, but there's clearly a bit of a cliffhanger and there's something weird happening, which is clearly going to be season 4, but actually now this is going to end the world and they've got to work that out instead. And that's just kind of like,
Yeah, so,
okay.
Yeah, obviously it kind of ended with another, like, especially season 2 and 3 ending in the same way of they've ended, they've solved it, but they're in the wrong
place.
Yeah. Spoilers. It's kind of what we're here for. But, and it's just getting old, I think. It's not doing anything to spice things up, whereas shows that literally started and often and pretty much come out at the same time, The Boys, has been changing everything. The story has been evolving naturally. They've been upping the stakes of the of all the different things that are happening. Not just like the big threat, but of all the different character relationships and all the different subplots. The characters have evolved and all this, that, and the other, and it's actually flowing really well to the point where I think The Boys is one of the best shows on TV at the moment.
We'll talk about that next week.
We will. Not even next week.
No,
well, it is next week. Oh, it's Wednesday, isn't it?
No, today is Tuesday.
I'm very confused. What's happening?
This is Tuesday. We're talking about Umbrella Academy.
Did we do something on a You did something on a Wednesday. I'm very lost. We're doing it on Saturday. Is this week?
I see what's happening now. I see where you got confused. I'm following.
Yeah.
It's been a weird week, to be fair. We've had shows all over the place, last-minute cancellations. It's been a nightmare.
Indeed. But yeah, I feel this has stagnated.
Yeah.
And the only thing they've done is kind of make characters worse. Mm-hmm. We'll definitely get into that because I have a massive problem with like, not even you love to hate them, like Skylar from Breaking Bad, but just a dog shit character who you're meant to root for, and I hate. And Hannah says the problem is once you've saved the world, there's not really anywhere to go. Disagree as a blanket statement, but in this particular context, I fully agree.
Yeah.
They just haven't... nothing's changed. All the characters are the same, and fair enough, it's only been a few weeks. Like, they're not going to majorly change. But it's kind of just a stagnant show. Nothing evolves. Nothing changes.
But I think the important thing is, because you say it's only been a few weeks, but it's only been a few weeks in their time. For us, it's been a few years. And obviously, typically, for an audience, when you get multiple seasons over a few years, the time period is normally over a longer period of time. So you see more change and development. Mm-hmm. So it feels unusual to be not seeing that kind of development within the characters or the world, etc. I think, anyway.
I agree. No, I think you're right. Obviously, yeah, because a lot of the time, TV shows kind of happen in real time.
Yeah, to a degree.
To a degree. But yeah,
Good timing.
Very good timing. Hello to him. But yeah, it's because this is happening in such a short period of time, it's kind of just nothing. You expect more to have gone on, and it's just the same thing of we hate our dad.
But yet, all of the stuff that happened in like the first season and even the second season, for the most part, should be more relevant to what's happening now because of how close it is, and because of like
they feel utterly separated. Yeah.
The threats are intrinsically linked to one another. It's happened over the course of a few weeks. So why is everything prior no longer relevant? And there's a lot of weird stuff like that, especially I think with the relationship between Vince and Allison.
Mm-hmm.
Like their relationship, when you think about what's actually happened between them over the course of 3 weeks.
Who's Vince?
Victor. Idiot.
Oh.
Sorry.
I was like...
Sorry.
No, because in my head I was like, I'm pretty sure there's a character called Vince. There must be. But I don't know. I thought you might have been referring to...
No, that's just me being a complete and utter idiot.
I thought you might have been referring to a husband or something. I can't remember.
No.
But yeah, Victor.
Like, there's a lot of weird stuff there. Now, I want to interject briefly in our scheduled programming. Hannah says, for such a large collection of people with daddy issues, there should be way more kinks present. I'd argue there are. There's definitely some inter-family incest stuff going on in some kind of weird...
We'll fucking get to that because
way,
that genuinely angered me.
Diego and...
Diego?
What's his partner's called? Diego and...
Lila,
they've got some weird kinky relationship going on. They're a bit kinky.
Yeah, but they're not...
No, I'm just saying they're a bit kinky.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just using it as another example of some kinks. They're definitely a bit kinky.
Yeah, that's true. Toom says, fun fact, I don't know shit about Umbrella Academy. To be fair, Toom, it's gotten to a point now where if you're in the chat for something we're talking about, I assume you've never heard of it.
Yep.
Or never seen it. I was going to watch it, but Genius Einstein was a much more tempting option for me. And, to be fair, I've never heard of that. I've heard of Einstein. It's a weird sounding siren.
Yeah, it's odd, isn't it? Don't know what that was.
No.
That doesn't sound like any emergency vehicle we have in England.
I don't know what that was.
That's completely.
It's
thrown
probably
me.
SWAT. It's Crawley.
Yeah, that's true. that has completely thrown me. Anyway, what was I gonna say? Fucking hell, I was gonna say something, and the sirens have distracted me entirely.
Lila, kinks.
I was saying they're kinky. Regular programming. Carry on. Oh, I know. I remembered. Following off what Toom says, I have seen this show. I've seen all 3 series, and I also don't really understand what's going on.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because that's the other thing. I think the plot lines are quite complicated in terms of all these little ins and outs going through it. There's kind of multiple threads within each season as well, which again kind of link into each other, but also sort of don't really matter, which can get quite hard to follow. Mm-hmm. Like the simple things to me, like the time agency that's in it is a mess. I don't have any understanding of what's going on with that. Like,
Yeah, we're well into spoilers now.
yeah, I've written that down.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know why they're just gone all of a sudden.
They're just suddenly gone entirely.
Like, I don't remember enough of season 2 to figure out whether... I mean, obviously Victor wiped a lot of them out.
Yeah.
But did they do? No, because it ended with the main woman shooting everyone.
Yeah, I just don't remember. I don't remember and I don't understand. And then, like, 5 is seemingly the leader of that. Maybe, possibly, when he's old.
He created it, yeah.
Yeah, but, like, that's all odd as well. Like, why? It's just
time loop.
Yeah,
things.
and I don't like it. It's confusing and it irritates me. It irritates me. I also Hannah says I'm confused as to who is in. There's been multiple incesting throughout the show because in season 1, I'm sure Allison and.
It's implied that they were when they were younger.
Yeah.
They weren't currently. And then there's the scene. We'll get into it because it fucking angered me.
You could also argue that Luther and Sloane. There's a weird kind of
that's
like
multiversal stuff.
Yeah,
though.
but it's weird because it's like they're kind of the same dad. They kind of have the same dad, and they're kind of like none of them are blood related anyway.
Yeah,
so it's like it's not really incest. It's like a step thing, but sort of not. And then but they're adopted, so they are a family. And then they're kind of from the same family, even though they're not, because the multiversal. It's still very weird. It's super weird. It's strange.
No, you know, it is. It is all entirely fucked. Yeah, I don't like it. It's strange.
The Victor Allison relationship is what I've really like throughout all of this. So because I know Allison's the character you had the problem with, right?
I can't stand her, and it's been for the last couple of seasons. I can't stand her. I don't think she has any likable trait, and honestly, she's the biggest cunt I've ever seen on TV.
I totally agree.
There is no redeeming factor. I would quite like her to be publicly executed.
Yeah.
Character, not the actor. However, I'm a sane human being, so I've not gone on Twitter and attacked this actress.
The character is actively unpleasant.
100%. No redeeming qualities whatsoever. She's a hypocrite. She's selfish. Everything is about her. And we're not going to solve this problem because it's about her. And to the point where she's so angry at Victor because he lied to her about something that doesn't actually matter because it's from a different universe, not their universe. So actually this guy didn't do anything to them.
Yeah.
So her retaliation, which she thinks is justified and not as bad, is to murder him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And play that off as if that was the fucking sane thing to do.
Correct. And
also rapes Luther.
Essentially, like mind rapes him into. Well, uses her powers to.
Force him to try and get it on, and then acts as if like, oh, what are you doing? No, this is wrong. Correct, correct. You rapist, fuck off. And it was kind of like we should have just left you in the 60s.
Yes, I agree.
Should leave you behind. We don't need you anymore, Alison. I really, 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 really wanted her to die this season.
I agree, and I don't remember liking her in previous seasons. Like there was
season 1, she was fine, I think.
Well, they used her differently in season 1 because obviously the kind of main antagonist of season 1 was Victor. Mm-hmm. And yeah, Tomb says I'm just freaking confused at this point. You will be, even if you watch it. But like. Yeah, and so she's used in a different way, and she's not doing as much in the plot. But Victor slits her throat in the first season, and leaves her for dead.
Yep.
And then leaves her not being able to talk while she's healing.
I think the worst writing decision was allowing her to talk again.
Yeah. So, but this is over the course of like 3 weeks. So over the course of 3 weeks, Allison has had a throat slit. Gone back to the 60s, met someone else that she's gotten married.
To be fair, I'm pretty sure, weren't they in the 60s for a really long time?
I think actually, yeah, the 28 days thing has only been for 5, isn't it? And the rest of them, it's been longer.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that they were actually in... Because didn't 5 arrive like 3 years later or something?
Yeah, I think you're right. 5 does arrive later.
Something like that. So yeah, it's not been long for him, but for everyone else, it's been ages. Because obviously Diego had a chance to grow his hair out.
Yeah, you are right. Yeah.
And
yeah, you are correct. And they all got dropped in the 60s at slightly different places, I think.
Slightly different places and slightly different times,
yeah.
I think.
Okay, you're right. Either way, their relationship has gone from slitting throat to being your best friend and accepting your transition to killing... essentially you're like someone who's essentially a son to you to then selling you out to have you killed as well along with everyone else in my family. I just don't think she's a good character.
No, I think she's the worst. I hate her. Every moment she was on screen just playing that like arrogant I'm right, and the whole thing is we can't do this to save the world because it's my daughter doesn't exist, la-di-da. And I get that. Obviously, you're going to want to fix that. But at the same time, like, not fixing it is going to cause problems for literally everyone other than you.
Yeah. I mean, I think, because I wouldn't say that I have an issue with those being her motivations and that being the way the character's used, because it's been, they're using that character to create a barrier and a reason to progress the story.
For sure. It's more the approach to that being her... like her justification, her motivation, and the fact that it's just hypocrisy
Yes.
and self-entitlement.
Because at the same time, they're also portraying her as someone you're supposed to like
Yes,
and root for.
yes,
and
that's the
bit
problem.
they've failed on, I think. Because you just hate her.
Yeah, no, I think she's the absolute fucking worst. She either needs to be completely rewritten from the ground up, which kind of doesn't make any sense to do at this point, or just removed.
Well,
removed.
I'd say actually there could be a way of rewriting her from the ground up now, because seemingly we're all over the place with the spoilers here, but obviously the end of this season is they seem to have lost all their powers, and I think part of her arrogance is because she has that controlling power. She can literally tell anyone to do whatever she wants them to do, and they will do it. So that is going to birth an element of arrogance. Look at Kilgrave. Mm-hmm. That's essentially the same character. He's arrogant as fuck because anyone will do whatever he tells them at any given moment. They make that character likable. A lot of that is David Tennant. So I
That's the difference between these shows, isn't it? Like, they make that character likable, who is
an awful
unforgivingly
person. Yeah.
a mass murdering rapist.
Yeah.
But they don't try and make him a likable character. They just make him charming. And obviously, that, yeah, as you say, a lot of that is David Tennant, but it's also in the way it was written and played off. They make him charming. Whereas this, they've done the polar opposite in this, where you're meant to like her, but they've made her a cunt in every way. Like, you're just like, shut your mouth. Like, I don't care. I honestly don't care. We need Scarlet Witch to be all like, what mouth? And just...
I heard a rumor that your character's a piece of shit.
Yes, it's like, I heard a rumor that you should fucking die. Stab yourself in the neck with a bottle opener.
I mean, I think that's the real problem, is that they've made that character unpleasant and unlikable, which means every time she's on screen, it was like, oh, fuck's sake, I've got to deal with this bitch.
Skip. I don't care. Stop paying attention. I don't care. Because, and it's such a contrast, because they have so many characters who are pleasant to watch and just a joy to watch. Klaus. Love Klaus.
Is excellent.
Klaus is like fucked up, but he's whimsical and joyful. And he's funny, and he's just enjoyable to watch, and seems like he would be pleasant to have around.
I agree. I think Klaus has actually been given some of the best writing and best character development as well over the course. Over the course of the 3 series in general.
I agree.
He's gone through a few different things, but with this season in particular, you actually see him go through and get a handle on his powers, and it's really interesting the way they did that, with him kind of building a new relationship with this new version of his dad, but yet that dad essentially being the same way. It's almost as if that dad has worked out, going, I see what the other version of me was doing to try and get his powers, and I see where he went wrong. I'm just going to tweak that a little bit to try and get the powers out of him, sort of thing. Toom says it's nice to see you guys in the studio together. It is. We can't
It's not nice to be in here, though. My Lord above, this was an error. Look at my wet hair. It was an error.
It is very, very moist in this room.
Swamp balls is all I have to say.
Yeah, nutsack soup is real. Yeah.
Nutsack soup. Fucking Lord. But yeah, I agree. Klaus's development throughout the entire thing has been the best. Probably followed by Diego, I would say.
Yeah, I don't think Diego was as interesting in this series, in this season. I don't think he was given as much to do. Obviously, it was that kind of thing of him coming to terms of being a dad. I think he plays the dad part really well, but he's not
given as much of an important role as Klaus, but he probably has the second biggest development from where he was to where he is within the show. Because, I mean, 5 is the same person.
5 is the same person, but 5's always been, I think, a good character.
I agree. I was going to say, but 5 is the same person, but he's also a good character.
Yeah, and again, a lot of that comes down to that kid is fucking talented.
That kid is talented.
He's great actor. I think he does a fantastic job of portraying the idea of an older, more sophisticated, very intelligent person in that teenager's body. I think he does a really, really good job of that.
It's because in real life he is essentially an older, more sophisticated, intelligent person in a younger person's body.
He sells it really well. And since season 1, I was never watching it going, it's a bit weird this kid can do all this. It was always just like, I bought the idea of, that's not a kid. Like, I just completely bought into that idea of what that premise is. I think he does a brilliant job of delivering it. And that
to the
doesn't
point
go
where
away.
it's now strange when you see flashbacks of everyone else, like
Yeah.
all of the Umbrella Academy as kids, and it's still just Aidan Gallagher.
Yeah.
Obviously, it would be.
Yeah.
He's still in his younger body. Yeah, and that's 18 now.
Yeah.
He was like just turned 15 when the show started, to the point of that's why he wasn't actually allowed to do a lot of the trivia. Wasn't actually allowed to do most of the fighting stuff himself in the earlier seasons because he wasn't 18.
Yeah, I think he's great. I think he's really, really good. And although I don't think they've developed that character much, I don't think that's
They
a
don't
character
need
that
to.
needs developing much. Yeah, and even then, they are still he's learning things about himself as he goes. Obviously, he learns the thing in this that he seemed to create that time agency thing. There is that line where he's like, I created this place. All I've tried to do is escape this place, and it turns out I've created it, or something like that.
Yeah.
I think it's quite an interesting bit of irony and stuff. And obviously building on the relationship with Lila, who was originally hired to kill him, and stuff like that. So there is all these little like bits of interesting development they put in, but I think there's so much stuff around it which is just kind of like okay.
Lord.
And then the overall plot line, I think, is where the show then falls down. Because so the overall plot line is they've solved the problem in the 60s, they've saved the world in the 60s, and then they come back to modern day, but there is another family in the household because the father, when he met them in the 60s, decided they were all pricks, so thought he'd adopt the other 7 children instead.
Mm-hmm. Which makes sense as to why he got Ben both times.
Which makes sense how he got Ben both times, because he wouldn't have met Ben in the first place. And then it has the Sparrow Academy instead of the Umbrella Academy, and they're in the house together.
One thing that did strike me as odd, though, is unlike with the Umbrella Academy, they all look about the same age. They do not in the Sparrow Academy. They look at least like some of them look like 10 years older than the rest of them. Like how the Raven woman, being 65, like the Raven woman and Ben being the same age. Nah. You're meant to be born at the exact same time, like not even minutes in it, and they don't even look close to the same age. And then their number one, can't remember his name, Marcus, I think it was, looking even younger. And then one of them was a cube.
Yeah, that was weird. Christopher was a weird electric cube.
And one of them was just a
there was
fat man.
The Venom lady.
Oh
yeah, there was the weird fat sort of crinkly
Bird man.
Yeah. The thing I found weird about the Sparrow Academy concept is I couldn't work out the reasoning as to why they were pretty much all dickheads. Because surely they've been raised by the same people in the same house with surely a similar intent. So I couldn't work out where it come from that they were all so arrogant dickheads, other than Sloane. So when this family turned up that went, hang on, what's going on here? They just went straight into murder, fight, and not just go, we're a weird family of superheroes and our dad does weird shit and we're having to keep him on drugs that our monkey nanny gave us to make sure our dad doesn't do weird shit and kill us. I buy there's something weird going on here and we should probably work together, because that's what pretty much the Umbrella Academy were doing until the Sparrow Academy went on them. I thought that was strange.
Because the Umbrella Academy fell apart and broke up when they were kids.
Yeah, true.
So they've been away. They've been separated, other than Luther.
That's true.
From the dad, obviously.
And Luther is the one that has the biggest issue with his dad in this as well.
Yeah. Whereas all of the Sparrow Academy they're clearly in their 30s now. Yeah. Somehow, even though one of Ben looks 12. But they're clearly meant to be in like their 30s and they've been with him the entire time. I kind of think it's just been a case of prolonged exposure.
Yeah. But what they essentially find out is there's something called a Kuja-Plitz?
Something like that, yeah.
Which is some kind of magical orb that's also appeared at the same time because they've created a paradox because they shouldn't exist in that universe.
It seems to just be like a black hole because there are other versions, there's supposedly other versions of themselves.
Yeah. Well, supposedly other versions of themselves, but as the plot goes, it turns out there isn't, because Harlan, and this is where I like the idea that there is some linking between the other episodes. Harlan, who's the kid that essentially becomes Victor's kid with his partner in
Season
season 2, when his mum dies, loses control of his powers that he got from Victor, and somehow, it doesn't really get explained why, but seems to target all of their parents the day before they were supposed to be born, so they were never born.
Yeah, I don't get that. I don't get why
It never explained why he targeted them and why he killed them.
They must have... I think, like...
Because he was saying it was an accident. It was an accident. So why?
Yeah, because he didn't have any control over his... He lost control because his mum had just died. That's why he lost control.
Yeah. But why then? Like, unless the thinking was, if you were never born, this would have never have happened. Maybe, I don't know. But.
Yeah, but then how would he know about the others?
Yeah, exactly.
But maybe it was because of his link to Victor. But that only explains Victor's mum. But or they, and then they're all linked by something because obviously they all have. None of them were pregnant and they all have kids at the exact same time, so they were clearly Kugelblitz. They're clearly linked by something. It was literally an accident, but it's a very convenient accident that it only targeted those 7 people on the planet. It would have been like 40 something, wouldn't it? Because they said 40. There was like 40 babies, but he managed to acquire 7 of them.
Yeah, but that means that. But the rest from. But there were 7 at least that survived. So he didn't kill all 40 of the parents. Otherwise, the Sparrow Academy.
That's true. Exist. So he only killed the 7 of them, didn't he?
He only killed the Umbrella Academy parents. And then when Klaus finds his auntie, she gives him the book. She says there was 7.
7.
Yeah. That all died of this random brain hemorrhage.
Yeah, don't know.
It's odd. It's very odd. But I like the idea they kind of kept that link going. And Camilla, fair play to her, like because every time they kept cutting back to that old man, it was like, who the fuck is this dude? Like, what's this going to lead? And then it was just before he unleashed his powers, she went, oh my God, it's the kid from season 2. Like, she twigged it. Don't know how she twigged it, but she twigged it.
He was sound sensitive, wasn't he?
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Season 2, so yeah. It makes sense. I didn't clock it, but you can kind of see backwards. Yeah.
And that was quite cool to get that. And he fucks up those Sparrow Academy guys.
Oh, yeah, good. They got fucked.
Yeah.
Immediately.
I am glad that many of those got immediately killed off. Because the fatty, melty man was incredibly irritating.
Yeah, so was the
spitty lady, yeah.
Annoyingly, the first one to die was the one who seemed most likeable at the beginning, Marcus.
Yes.
Seemed like he actually had his head screwed on and was talking to Victor.
And was going to deal with the problem.
Yeah. And he just got sucked into a black hole. See, here's something I think we should never do, is program AIs to have the capacity for religion.
Yeah, that was an issue.
That seems like a bad idea.
Yeah.
Have you seen humans with religion? They murder each other all the fucking time. Let alone AI. Fucking, that's a bad design. I think the CGI in this entire show was bad.
Pretty much anything that was green screen work was abysmal.
It was the green screen.
Yeah.
The rest of the effects were fine.
Yeah.
How do you nail a sentient cube and a black hole, but you can't green screen?
Yeah, a lot of the green screen work was awful. There was some really bad stuff there with mismatched lighting. Camera movements weren't quite right. Perspective was off.
Also, just go to a fucking location.
Yeah.
For once. Like, it seemed the only thing they had was the hotel.
To be fair, I imagine they were filming a lot of this over COVID.
Yeah, I know,
so you're limited.
Yeah, but at least
But
get
you're
someone
right
who's seen
though,
a green screen before then. Like, go to an location.
There was some stuff that was really good. I mean, we watched the first few episodes on original TV, and then the finale on my new TV, which was again in Dolby Vision and stuff. And the sequences of like all the shots of that of where the world's collapsing and stuff like that.
The weird thing is, as I said, the CGI is good. It's just the green screen. It's so weird. It's so strange, Holly.
I do like the filming style and the color palette of this show, though. Mm-hmm. I've always enjoyed it. It's a nice style. They do a lot of sort of slightly unusual shots. Everything is very kind of bloomed in its color palette. They have quite heavy vignettes. It's very stylized in that way, which I really like. And I think it kind of echoes some of the style of the comics, I think, a little bit in a way, doesn't it?
Kind of. There's nothing similar between the show and the comics.
Right.
At all.
I'm more meant in the visual style.
Yeah, ish.
Fair enough.
They do use a lot of weird colors, but yeah, the art style of the comics is really weird,
Right.
and really scraggly. Like I'm referring to the comics here, so it is actually Vanya is
Still
literally a well, yes, but I mean more is
Oh,
literally like a white
it's
violin.
a white violin.
Woman.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Because it seemed like
they've changed everything.
I was going to say, I forgot to say this earlier, that this season seems to particularly shy away from the fact they have superpowers as well, I think. Like, none of them seem to be using their powers for anything. They're just kind of
very
rambling
rarely.
through it, trying to solve a puzzle, but you don't really see, like...
Sloane uses it a lot, but
Sloane
that's mainly
uses
to
it
fuck.
a lot for gravity sex. To be fair, if I had that ability, it'd be the first thing
I
I'd
think
do.
it's a fair use. I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah, I'd have a gravity wank every day. It'd be easy to clean up as well. Just kind of. Sorry.
Straight in the sink.
But yeah, they don't really make. No, there isn't really a point in this film where they, in this season, really have to use the fact they're superheroes. That Diego really never does his knife throwing stuff, whereas in season 1 in
Couple of
particular, and
times.
even season 2, they do some really cool stuff with his knife throwing abilities. And Addison doesn't really use her power for anything other than to rape her brother. Victor doesn't really use his power for anything in this, and his power seems to have changed from being this musical thing he had in the first one to now just being, if he strains, he has an orb of light in his chest. Like,
They did that in season 2 as well.
yeah, it was just weird that they've moved away from that initial idea of the violin playing.
Well,
and-
I think in season 1 it was because they had no control
yeah,
over it, and the violin was a way for him to focus it, I think, and now he can just use it.
Yeah.
Is kind of the point, because the power is the same. It's just the way that it's used is a bit different. I forgot that Lila's power seemed to be that she had everyone's power.
she can mimic, she can
Yeah.
copy people's.
Yeah. I forgot about that. So
Which, to be fair, fucking cool power to have.
agreed. Essentially, there is a Marvel hero who can do that, but I can't remember who it is.
Surely that's not quite Taskmaster, is it?
No,
But-
Taskmaster can copy the fighting style,
Yeah.
but he can't actually develop the superpowers. But yeah, it does seem weird, and especially going into season 4 where they've all lost their powers.
Yeah.
It just seems like they're kind of building up to cheapen the show and
Yeah.
never have to do anything. Like 5 doesn't teleport very often.
Not very often, is no.
Which, let's be honest, that's all you would ever do.
Yeah, that'd be my main way of movement.
Yeah.
I need a shit, just teleport myself
To the
bowl.
toilet, yeah.
Yeah.
Why would you even walk?
No.
Why would you ever walk? And
Anyway.
I imagine teleporting would require a lot of physical bodily energy.
Yeah,
So you're not going to get fat.
true.
I imagine you would burn more by having to teleport than walking.
You could probably, if you're really smart, just teleport and leave your fat behind.
I'm not sure that's how it works.
I don't know.
But that
It's the
would,
Umbrella
that would,
Academy, anything's possible. There's a monkey nanny.
It's true. It's true.
I just said mimic.
That is a chest in Dark Souls. They probably are called Mimic. It's not a particularly
Oh, I
original
see what's
name.
happening. I understand. I was gonna say something. What was I gonna say?
Couldn't tell you.
Oh my god, Klaus. Even Klaus, like,
He very rarely
I
does
mean,
anything.
Klaus does kind of put his powers behind him in season 2. He doesn't want to use them and stuff, but this is
But
actually
he always has Ben with him.
that gets written out in season 2 as well, because he kind of comes to piece of it all and works it all
I know.
out. But actually, they probably give him the most with the powers in this, because they do a whole thread about him learning to control his powers. And the idea that, you know, he is actually immortal and stuff like that, I think is quite clever. I think it fits that character well. And I did enjoy the montage of him just being killed by a bus over and over again.
Yeah, I do think they kind of did a lazy writing thing of they killed everyone and then killed a lot of people and then immediately brought them back
Yeah.
again. They killed both Luther and Klaus, which I'm glad Klaus is back. I don't care about Luther, but I'm glad Klaus is back. But at the same time, like, cool, you've just brought them back. Excellent. Even Ben died before the show, and
Yeah.
he's been here the entire. Like, it's just one of those. No, there are no stakes because every time you kill someone that isn't that is part of the main cast. You just bring him back immediately. As you say, Alison had her throat slit, and so should be fucking dead. Luther was murdered. Here's the thing that they didn't really they made kind of like a big deal of the reveal that their dad was an alien.
Yeah.
And then hardly mentioned it at all.
Never went back to it.
They did. He used his alien arms to kill Luther, and that was it. That was it. And it was just like, well, if you weren't going to follow it up, surely that could have been the reveal.
It's the kind of thing that they could follow up if they do a season 4 smartly. If they do a season 4 well, they could then follow up with the idea of finding out properly the dad's an alien and what, because he's clearly up to something. You know, it ends with he resets the universe, and the way he resets the universe, his wife is back. Clearly, he is incredibly powerful, as his name is on nearly every building in the city. And none of the children have any of their powers, which is also clearly something he's done. Either that they're not supposed to be there at all, or that they don't have their powers, so they simply can't now stop and overthrow him.
Well, I think that's probably what they did. That's probably what they did to him. What they were doing to... What he was doing to them when all that blue light sucking everything out.
Yeah, he's taking the power away from... And I think that was the point, was that... You know, I think the one thing that seems to be overarching over the 3 series is he wanted to save his wife. And to do that, he needed to reset the universe. And to do that, he needed these people. So, and I think that's been the whole point of the 3 seasons, is getting to that point. And he's done it, and now he won't want those people coming and overthrowing that and undoing it, because he's tried to save his wife. So I think season 4 could quite obviously be to do with exploring that, and they could do some interesting stuff with it. But I've got a funny feeling they won't.
Yeah, we're also getting into, even though they don't follow the comics very well, and that's on purpose, not like I don't mean that as a dig, that's on purpose. They do still follow it. Book 3 is called Hotel Oblivion.
Right.
Like, it is still following it. Book 1 is where Vanya in the books tries to take over the world, blows up the moon, all that kind of shit. Can't remember anything about book 2, so can't tell you whether or not it's...
I did want to just actually circle back, because I saw Hannah put a comment in the chat, and I forgot to mention at the time, she mentioned about... I think you said, Hannah, correct me if I'm wrong, about they maybe handled the transition of Vanya to Victor quickly.
Well.
Oh, did it say well? I can't remember what it said.
I'm pretty sure she said they handled it quite well. I agree the first time. They had the same conversation. They didn't because the group was split up, they did it so the conversation happened multiple times.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think... It was all done well it was brief. It was just a... Cool, move on.
Which is the only way they needed to do that. Yeah. I think if they made more of a fuss out of it, it becomes weirder.
But I kind of feel like the weird fuss came from doing it 3 times.
Yeah.
Just 2 minutes of slightly clever writing to get everyone at the table.
Yeah, I mean, I think that...
Like, it didn't bother me.
I think the first conversation that Victor has it's with Diego and Luther, I think.
No, it's with Diego, 5, and Klaus.
Oh, yeah.
That's the
and
first
they just
time.
go... And she, like... does Alison tell them, or no? Victor tells them.
Victor tells
just
them.
Says, "Oh, it's Victor." Actually,
Yeah, because Diego calls him Vanya.
Yeah.
So he just corrects.
And they
them.
literally just go, "Okay, cool, fair enough. I'm on board with that."
Well, yeah, there's
no
a
worries.
bit of silence. Does anyone have a problem with that? And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
No. Klaus is like, I like it.
Well, he is the spiritual one.
Exactly.
I think that was the best way you could handle that as well.
No, I agree.
As I think if you make too long out of it, it kind of not only makes it weird, but it also defeats the point.
I agree. And then I would admit with the Luther one, when they told Luther, because I think Diego told Luther.
Yeah.
I think it was Diego that told Luther, and then he was just like, "Oh, what do we have a party? Do I do what do I do?" And yeah, so that was. Yeah, and then it was just Victor told Alison, I'm pretty sure. And then you got to the whole, there is nothing you can do that'll make me stop loving you thing. And then all she did was tell a lie that affected no one on this reality. And that was it. About 1% of the severity of the throat slashing, which she got over pretty quick. Alison's a cunt.
We've had 3 on this show.
Yeah, Rich isn't here.
That's fine. I'm not bothered.
No.
I'm just keeping tally.
Yeah. No, it's just, father isn't here to tell us off. So we're not one of those channels that censors the word idiot.
Literally saw that earlier.
Yep, someone censored the word idiot, and I think whoever did that needs to be publicly executed.
Especially as there was arguably a swear at the end of the video.
Oh, bloody.
Like, it's a mild swear,
Yeah.
but it's more of a swear than the word idiot is.
Yes. Yes, I don't like this nature that we're going down where you can't say anything that could be used insultingly. Like, they were talking about fucking flat earthers, for Christ's sake.
To
They
be
are
fair,
idiots.
if we're at the point where we have to censor anything that could be used in an insult, I'm quite creative with insults. There aren't many words you couldn't censor.
You are an overly used flannel.
Exactly.
An unwashed towel.
And you remind me of a cheap microphone.
I don't know what that means.
You make a sound, but it's not very pleasant.
Hey, microphones don't make sound. They
Fuck
capture
your
sound.
face.
I suppose if it's a cheap microphone, it might make a sound.
Toom says, by the way, where's Rich today? Rich
He
hasn't
hasn't
seen the
watched-
show,
yeah,
so
he
he's
hasn't
not
seen the
here
show.
so as to not get spoilers. We probably would have had more people for this if we had done it on Saturday, but a family emergency, essentially, was the situation there, hence that cancellation. Jack, do you want me to sing a song?
Have we gone over everything?
I feel like we have.
We haven't gone over those weird people at the end that they had to fight.
Oh, the samurais in the hotel.
Yeah, that was strange.
Yeah, that was odd.
That was really odd. And then they had their weird little team-ups and the corridors not leading to where they were supposed to lead. Random doors going to other places and what have you. Obviously, that weird behind what I could only describe as a weird, like, pachinko machine.
It was all padding because then they all turned up in the same lobby anyway, so it was irrelevant.
Oh, yes.
It was nonsense. It was create this idea of, oh, they're all getting zapped between different areas. What's this going to mean? Nothing. They all just walked to the lobby. So it really did nothing.
Oh,
at
no,
all.
I
It
know,
was
I
just
agree.
padding to pad out the episode.
And it was pretty much the only fight scene that we got. Oh yeah, we didn't talk about the fact that he stole his own tattoo, and they were just like, we need to make sure this never happens, and then got it tattooed on him, which
that
never
was
came
odd.
up again.
Yeah.
And also, you don't need that. You've got it.
Yes.
You've got the skin that it was on from old you. So if you need to reference it, just look at that. You don't need to get the tattoo. It's very odd.
Yep.
There was so many... Nothing happened. I don't understand.
Toom says, what the actual fuck is this show about?
Don't know.
I'll try and give you a quick overview as best as I can. Essentially, for some reason, on this day in like the 80s or whatever it is, out of nowhere, there are like 40 odd women around the world that suddenly give birth at the exact same time. The strange thing is, none of those women were pregnant before the time they gave birth. It was just out of nowhere, baby is born.
Hannah says if he doesn't get the tattoo, then it won't be there on the skin. Clearly it was, because he was already holding it without getting the tattoo, and also they've shown that time doesn't work that way in the Umbrella Academy. It has still happened. It can't be undone.
There is then this crazy maniacal man who has too much money, who goes around and wants to try and get as many of these babies as possible, as he feels there is some kind of weird link between them. They'll have some sort of powers, whatever. Manages to get his hand on 7, adopts the 7, probably buys these 7 babies, and then works to get their, to get them to find their superpowers, because they all have superpowers, and turn them into essentially a superhero school academy called the Umbrella Academy. They then all get caught up in this idea of having to save the world, and then all this weird shit happens. There's a monkey who is highly intelligent and is basically a person. There is a robot who is a maid but is also their mum. At one point there's a fish that runs a time agency.
I forgot about that.
There's all sorts of stuff. It's very strange. It isn't a bad show. I know we've said a lot of negative stuff about it, but more in the sense of that I feel like they missed the mark in season 3.
I didn't really enjoy season 2 or 3. I think season 2 was a bit better, but I didn't really enjoy either of them particularly, especially with everything that's been on this year.
Yeah, there's been much better stuff this year. I wouldn't say I love it, but I didn't not enjoy it when we watched through it. I still enjoyed watching it. I just think it's missing the mark of what made the first season as good as it did.
Agreed. Anyway, that's...
Reading the things. We can't read, but we're reading the things. Yeah.
Someone wrote a thing. I need to find it. Oh, did you write a thing? I swear you wrote a thing. Did you not write a thing? Did you send me a reading the things, Hannah? I thought you did. That's Monday. 31st. So that means that's Sunday. 30th, so that means that's Saturday. And that's Friday. Did you not? I thought you did.
Well,
This is
which
awkward.
case, we won't read any things.
This is awkward. I thought you did.
Hannah's saying no. I don't think I did.
I made that up then. In which case, there are no things to read.
We're not reading the things, not reading the things. We're not reading because there are no things to read.
Yeah.
All right, closing thoughts then, I guess.
This was a very okay season of overall seemingly what is going to continue being an okay show.
Yeah, I think so.
I would have much preferred that you watched all of Stranger Things, and we can talk about that.
I probably would at some point.
Yes. I don't hang on any message. Wouldn't hold my weight.
Hangs on my dick.
Hey! But I'm much more looking forward to talking about the boys on Saturday.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I'd score this season a solid 6.5 out of 10.
No, I'd probably go more for the 5. It was... Hey.
I don't think it was that bad. I think it just lost its way in terms of like plot, but I think overall, it's still presented fairly well.
I just
it's
think
paced fairly well.
I didn't like a single member of the Sparrow Academy.
Yeah, they were all pricks, yeah.
I don't like the dad.
Yeah, fair.
I don't like Alison. So there's so many characters that you spend so much time with that I just don't enjoy watching. I don't think the plot was particularly interesting because it's the same plot every time.
All right, I am going to reevaluate my score to 6 out of 10.
5 to 5.5 probably, which is a shame because I would have given the first one like a solid 8.5.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's strongly fallen off, but we'll have a much more positive conversation, I hope, because you haven't seen it all yet, about the boys on Saturday, because I like the boys. Not in a priest way.
This has been Albert One, your movie and TV podcast here on Rabbit Hole Media. If you like what you're doing and what you're doing is watching us, you can follow us on Twitter at rabbithole_UK. You can subscribe to us on YouTube where you can see us anytime you wish. You can follow us on Twitch at Rabbit Hole Media, and you can join the chaos and carnage that is our conversations over on the Discord. Indeed.
And now you can follow us on Instagram at rabbitholemedia_UK and on TikTok at rabbitholemedia for all the behind the scenes tits and bits. For merch. What? If you'd like to support us, head to merch.rabbitholemedia.co.uk for a wide range of merchandise that recently got wider.
And finer.
I never say and finer.
I'm finer.
Oh, I see. And finally, if you're watching us live on Twitch and are an Amazon Prime member, you get one free Twitch Prime membership a month. Please find it within your hearts to give that membership to us. It doesn't cost you a penny. It goes a very long way helping us bring you the shows that you love. Don't worry about Hannah. I made a very rude joke. Thank you very much for joining. Stick around as we'll be going straight into press start after I leave this room for a couple of minutes because look at my wet hair. My hair is genuinely wet.
It actually is.
And it's disgusting.
Yeah, no, it is. I agree. Jack's hair is disgusting.
Wow.
Do you want me to press
Get ready to hit the button. What a cunt.